My name is Jerrika Christensen. I identify as a lesbian, and now I'm embracing the term queer.
My name is Austin Shimko, and I'm queer.
My name is Dylan Vorass. I identify as gay.
We're queer. We're warriors. Oh yeah.
I first heard about it in the fall semester through Pride, but I didn't really think I was going to be taking it at all.
I actually saw the poster for the first year of it. It intrigued me oh, I could go to San Francisco. I've never been there. That might be fun.
So I was actually a student at UW-Eau Claire in 2010 for a semester. I think they had done their first year of the class. And I just thought, that is so amazing, you know? I want to get on board with this.
Eventually, I think it was one morning at work, I was actually, I really do want this experience. I think it would be really cool to go to San Francisco and do all this queer stuff.
I'm finally in a place where I could take the class. And yeah, so that's kind of what brought me here.
What it was just I need to take this chance. I need to take this risk. I didn't know why, I just knew I needed to, and especially the fact that it might not be back next year or who knows what. I was I have to take it because this is an opportunity that I can't miss. I want to travel away from here. With this earth I will wash all my tears, climb all the walls that were built in me, and break them all down with the truth that I see. Close all those doors that have been blocking my way, and drink from the spring that will bring freedom today. I promise to find you somehow.
I felt struggled having friends, and I became the funny kid.
I was very introverted, very, and probably because I just felt so out of place, like I didn't belong in any group.
I've always kind of felt out of place as a kid. In high school, well, I kind of fell out with my main friend group in middle school at the end of that. So in high school I felt a lot more lost, especially when I realized my sexuality.
I was so depressed. I still struggle with that, I probably will my whole life.
And your depression has to do with your
Wanting to be accepted and constantly feeling like I'm not, and constantly feeling like I'm not close with anyone. And I think I knew that kids who felt that way weren't liked,
And I have pushed myself. The truth of me, I've pushed myself down because society didn't really make me feel comfortable with who I was, so you act a different way than I was.
I think it was really hard when I first, I guess, came to college, and it was my first time really trying to be open. I think it really isn't that easy, especially in the residence halls. I felt pretty much everyone in my residence hall was straight or identified as straight. So I didn't really want to be that one gay kid. So it was really hard being open there.
If I would have been taught about LGBTQ history and notable people who identified as gay from the time if it would have began when I was in elementary school, how that would have altered my life. I feel like I would have grown up much more healthy. I would have seen people who I could relate to, and I wouldn't have had to push that person that was growing inside of me away. When I hear about California and how they are creating curriculum for schools, I can't help but imagine how strong effect that would have had on my life.
The Fair Education Act was just passed in California. It's just starting to be implemented. It's a bill that, or it's a law that says that California public schools have to teach students about important LGBT historical figures. And so it's a really great bill to give students the exposure to our community's history so that they know that there have been people in history who have been from our community that have been successful and made a huge change in the world.
So we work with students where we actually teach a class around social justice and LGBT and gender issues. The class runs year-round. All school year, we meet once a week for 1 hour a week. And in that class, we look at the intersections of race, class, gender, and sexuality. And the youth that are in my class really run on a spectrum. From I have youth that are LGBT identified already, to youth that are not but end up coming out, to youth that have engaged in bullying behavior, really just kind of everywhere. And the idea is that we need to have this conversation with everyone. It's not enough to just work with even the LGBT youth, because a lot of youth aren't even out at that time. And so how do we even create the space for those youth that are still identifying as straight to even question?
I come from a large family. We were raised Mormon. I was Mormon for the first 13 years of my life. The morals we were taught were traditional, a man marries a woman, and every woman gets married and is, basically owned by the man. Anytime the subject of homosexuality came up, it was never in a good way.
What sort of struggles have you seen your friends go through?
Our school has minimal bullying, but of course it's always there. And there's also people who, there's a lot of, there's homophobic ideas, but it's just not tolerated with the administration and within the students too. It's just people don't put up with it. So it's nice at our school that it's not as big, but you still hear comments and you hear people use slurs and things like that, but a lot of it's not as intentionally outright homophobic.
I definitely grew up in a more liberal household. I was never really told that being gay is wrong, but there's definitely that bias in society that's hard to escape from, that being straight is better than being gay. There was a lot of homophobia in the school, especially the student body. There were plenty of people calling each other fags.
I'm on the Middle School Safety Initiative Committee, which is basically building a curriculum to include in middle schools to make them more inclusive for LGBT students.
So how does it feel to be on the board of
It
BASE?
feels great. I love it. Yeah, I feel like I'm doing something positive, and I'm kind of, groundbreaking, because not many people my age, I don't know any other middle school activists, and I don't know, it just feels really good to be with other people who care as much as I do.
I remember in 7th grade being in Miss Solfest's reading class, and my friend Jamie, who I got married to 1st grade, but that didn't work out. I remember her showing me a picture. We were cutting stuff out of magazines, and there was a shirtless boy in basketball shorts, and she showed it to me, and she goes, "Austin would like this." And that was in 7th, and I went, "What? Why?" And she goes, "You're gay, right?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "Oh."
So this one youth, he had really endured lots of bullying, in the school. The school had definitely had a homophobic climate before we started working there. And he wanted to perform a poem at the assembly, and I said, "Fantastic, go ahead and do it." And so he wrote this poem where he basically outed himself in front of the entire school. And so he read his poem and said "I'm here, I'm queer, and I'm fabulous," and walked off stage and sashayed, and the entire school stood up, and he got a standing ovation and got high fives. And it was just such a powerful and emotional moment that he felt so empowered so safe to be able to out himself in front of all his peers.
I think teachers can't just talk about it. They need to encourage exploration and encourage how good it is to be LGBTQ. They need to, because it's just the thing. It's not just about acceptance. It's about celebrating it.
Thanks to this class, I don't feel like, yeah, I'm gay, I was born this way. Because when you say I was born this way, I didn't choose to be, it's putting like a negative connotation on it. It's like saying that there's something wrong with me, but I didn't choose to have this something wrong with me. But there is. I've grown beyond that, and now I feel I was born this way, I didn't choose to be this way, I'm just lucky.
The more I've been in this class, the more open I feel, the more I can talk about like cute boys or like sex. There's no way I would talk the way I do back in like Wisconsin, anywhere.
I've realized how important it is to be openly queer, constantly. And that sounds almost bad, but constantly. It's important because I think people back home do have this attitude of there's a time and a place for it. And I think there's a time and a place for things, but being openly queer is not one of them.
I love it. I'm so happy that I'm queer. I'm happy to be a lesbian. And I've never felt that before. This class gave me that. It's made me love that I am a lesbian, and I've never loved that before.
Learn how to be more open. Learn how to not be yourself, but become yourself. Like, you can go towards becoming yourself. Like, you invent yourself, and if you're closeted, then the person you invent will just be self-hating. But if you embrace yourself, then the person you become will become a diva. They'll become a loving, accepting, wonderful, beautiful person.